In your daily encounter, imagine having a two-way conversation with God. When you read the Bible, it's time for you to listen, and God is doing the talking. Then it's your turn. Prayer is simply talking to God. When we have conversations, we often simply express whatever is on our hearts or on our minds with another person. Prayer is just like that. So there are really no right or wrong ways to pray. It's just a conversation. There are better ways, though. Have you ever noticed that your prayers can be full of asks? Like, God, I need you to do this, or God, I want you to do that. We ask God to do things for ourselves and for others, but prayer is more than just that. Requesting God to intervene in our lives is a part of prayer, but not what it's all about. One day, Jesus gave his disciples some extremely practical advice about prayer in Matthew chapter 6. Jesus said, "This then is how you should pray." What he is about to tell them is what a lot of people call the Lord's Prayer. A lot of Christians simply memorize this short prayer and recite it word for word, but that wasn't Jesus' point. This isn't a magic spell that you recite that causes God to give you favor in your life. Instead, it's an outline that describes the kinds of things we should pray about when we're talking to God. So let's break down the outline Jesus gave his disciples. He starts like this. He says, "Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name." This is the best place to start. Instead of jumping into a list of requests, simply start by praising God. Again, the point is not to just recite this prayer. You can praise God in many different ways. Take a minute and acknowledge who you're talking to, or to stand and affirm that he is your God. Some people do this by singing or playing worship music. Next, Jesus prayed, "Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." This prayer gives immediate perspective. I pray this every day, several times a day, in many ways. I continually ask that God would do his will. Building my kingdom and getting what I want is not what's most important. What is? God's purposes and accomplishing his will. So whatever you have going on in your life, take a minute and align yourself with what God is doing here on earth. Invite him to use you to accomplish his will, not the other way around. Then Jesus continued. He said, "Give us today our daily bread." Now that you've acknowledged who you're talking to and have committed yourself to his will, it's time to start asking God for the things that you need. God knows you need these things. He wants to hear your request. Start with your basic needs. In the first century, daily bread was the most consistent need. In our world, our basic requests may be a little bit more involved than just what we're going to eat. You might need to ask God for a car or a job or a house. Maybe you need financial wisdom or guidance in a relationship. Whatever it is, God not only wants to hear about it, but he also wants to take care of you. In verse 13, Jesus continues, "And forgive us our debts, as we have also forgiven our debtors." This is a really important aspect of prayer. This is what we all have in common. We all have mistakes, and we all have people who fail us and fall short of our expectation. Jesus says when you pray, you should seek God's grace in your own life, and then in the same breath, you should forgive others. This kind of daily prayer is so good. It keeps us from ignoring our own sins and helps us extend forgiveness to others. And finally, Jesus prayed, "And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one." This is our daily struggle. Our struggle against sin is the most important challenge we face each day. When we reduce prayer to only asking God for things, we often neglect to ask God for his power to help us resist temptation. This is vitally important. You know what temptations you face each day with excruciating clarity. Just pray that God will help you with your daily struggle against sin and protect you from the devil who seeks to trip us up. And that's it. That's the entire outline Jesus gave his disciples. I want to say again that prayer is as simple as talking to God. The more you pray, the more natural it feels. There's nothing you can't say to God. Just talk to him. As you are talking to him, add these kinds of things to your prayers. You will see God answering your prayers. Your faith will increase as you see him work, and you will have even more to be thankful for.